Well, let's take America's Pulse. Check me out, dude. I'm bad in the motherfucker. I put up clips, I give you facts, and I give you my opinion. So it ain't like I'm coming up here with just acting straight up buffoonery. I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you proof. I'm not gonna run around the block with, you know, like I got some baby nuts and don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've been around the block a couple times. I'm giving you facts. See, I want to give this podcast to people who love entertainment, who like to laugh about stuff, and I want it to be funny, I want it to be factual, and I want it to be serious at the same time. And, you know, I think people will take it better if they take it lightly. Don't be so serious. Because I'm not a serious motherfucker. I might talk shit, but I'm not serious. But I will be giving you facts. I don't know if that made any sense. Now, the clip was Carl Levin, a Democrat, on the shitty deal. And this is what I started my podcast on. This is what I based it around, was this story, because I found it very peculiar. Carl Levin, a Democrat, he's on the banking committee. He's interrogating a Goldman Sachs exec. Now keep up with me. I'm going to kind of pick it up here because we got to make some hay here. This is 6:21. I mean 6:31. It's 10 minutes, so about 6:30 we got to be done. So try to keep up. Like I said, there was Carl Levin, a Democrat, on the banking committee. He interrogated Goldman Sachs executives, had him on the ropes, stuttering and stammering. The Goldman Sachs was a major player in the economic collapse in 2008. They are being sued by the government for unethical practices. Now, executives were passing around emails within the company joking, you know, about how shitty a deal is that they made to their customers. And how they were going to make out with these large portions of profit while it bankrupted and destroyed American families that were related to this plan. The email supposedly said, "Boy, was that a shitty deal," as you heard many times. He's referring to the deal that was made with Timberwolf, a company. You know, and they sold Timberwolf. They sold it as if it was a golden deal. They sold it, it's like the greatest deal you can do to try to sell it. And it was a shitty deal. And people took advice, and they eventually killed them. And the advice came from Goldman Sachs. Transparency is needed. Now, this is just one aspect of the shitty deal. There's so many other things that needs to be regulated. A lot of things needs to happen with this deal. The shitty deal that he's talking about happens over and over and over and over again. Now let's get to the next topic. And that is bank size, which is another major player. See, the Goldman Sachs problem and companies like it amplifies the problem because of the bank size. 6 of the largest banks in this country and their assets equal to 17% of the nation's gross domestic product. And that was 15 years ago, 17%. Today, the top 6 banks and their assets own 63% of the GDP, gross domestic product, for those of you who don't know, today. So, 15 years ago, it was 17%, the top 6 banks. Now, the top 6 banks and their assets own 63% of the GDP. The top 6 banks have the power over most of the economy. 6 banks control 63% of the total economy. And when their misleadings and closed door deals are fucked up and they're fucking over hard-working Americans, their chances of having a positive light shined upon their faces, it diminishes. I'm talking about these banks. Because, you know, all the people, the economy took a dive, all because, why? They're screwing people over. Selling bad stocks is just one part of it. And they control too much of it. Senators from both sides have agreed that the economy was controlled by unbridled greed. You know my definition of compromise. When one party brings their ideas forward, the other party brings forward their ideas, then they do a little give and take, a little common ground finding, and a little compromise. That's what I call compromise. You know the GOP's version of compromise, and the way they see it is, "Oi, if you're not voting Democrat, you're not voting Republican, then we're not doing it." Well, they're Democrats. They're not going to vote Republican. If they were voting like a Republican, the people that they represent would have voted for a Republican. They're Democrats. They're going to vote Democrat. So you have to understand that there's a line crossed on both sides, but just because they're not all Republican, or their views are not all Republican, does not mean they're going to go all the way Republican. You understand? It's a Democrat. He's not going to be all Republican. I'm not going to go over that again. Chasing my tail on that one. Because people that don't understand, they won't. And anyway, the GOP idea of compromise is appeasement, like I just said. Becoming a Republican, that's the only way they compromise. And to bring in special interests. Lobbyists, healthcare insurance representatives when it was the healthcare debate. Wall Street executives, you know, during the financial debate, which is right now. Giving them the controls and deregulate the market. In that case, and in the case of healthcare, let the market run itself unchecked. Overpricing and fraud happens. Then you just hand it over to Goldman Sachs, the ones that started all this shit or had something to do with it. They own 63% of the whole problem. Democrat and on the banking committee, Sherrod Brown, out of Ohio, says the financial reform bill will become stronger, more stronger than it is now, and more pro-consumer and more pro-Main Street, as it is opposed to pro-Wall Street. He also says there will be a handful of Republicans that are halfway open-minded. Then they will flip to join the Democrats because they appear to be on the side of Wall Street. Now this shames Republicans. He and the Democrats are getting the ink the last few days. And as a matter of fact, today, it was the third vote that they voted down, 57-41. And they're going on record in front of the American people as obstructionists again. See? The whole always comes full circle. Obstructionists. No, that's what they're all about. They complain that the federal government doesn't do anything, and then when it comes time to vote, no, we're not going to do anything. We don't want to do it right now. We don't want to do it right now. It's quite vexing. Now we come to my favorite topic, which is bipartisan shit. And I understand, I already told you about bipartisan shit when everybody trades ideas and everybody compromises and everybody, you know, tries to have a compromise. What we have is bipartisan shit. When we allow a lot of Republican ideas in, and then when it comes down for the vote, they say no. That's not bipartisan ship. It's bipartisan shit. And I always have to separate the two. So everybody understands. They always say, well, why do you do that? Why do you always go back to that? Because this is how these people work. They want to make you seem like, oh, they're not doing anything. The federal government isn't doing anything. They're not doing anything. See, they're not doing anything. And then when we have a vote, no, I don't think we should do that at this time. What the fuck? Okay. We'll have to sum this up here because we're coming up on an end point. Like I said, we're on the bipartisan shit. And I just described it again if you didn't understand. Americans basically handed America over to the Democrats. You got to understand that. In 06 and in 08. The Democrats are elected. Known by the electorate that they are Democrats, and they will vote Democrat, and they will vote like a Democrat. If they wanted a Republican, the people that voted the Democrats in would have voted a Republican. Elections have consequences. 06 and 08 are the results that favored the Democrats, and we are in the majority. The GOP was in power for 6 years, and they had the executive branch, which was the presidency, for 8 years. They drove the economy off a cliff, even with a major surplus left from Clinton, started and poorly executed 2 wars that was grossly overstretched our military, lost thousands of American soldiers, trillions of dollars, and the murder of hundreds of Iraqi men, women, and children, not to mention the instability of the region that we have because of this. So they've had their shot and they've failed. So now you want President Obama and the Democrats to fail because you know every time a Democrat gets into office, jobs are created. In 20 years of Republican presidencies, in the private sector, gained 15 million jobs. 15 million jobs in 20 years. I'm talking about 2 presidencies of Reagan, Bush the first, and 2 Bush the second. In 8 years, which is 2 Clinton terms, 22 million jobs gained, all by himself in the Clinton era. A change you can suck on is what I like to say, what Obama should be saying. A change that you motherfucking Republicans can suck on. Now, this was the end of part 3, I believe. It actually was the part 1. Part 1, A1A1. Don't feel too good about that one. But we still got a little bit left more to go with this. And then we'll move on to get this. See you motherfuckers in a second.